This video tutorial is to help you understand how AVA360VR, when a new project is created, then what sort of folder structure and subfolder structure does it have, such that you know where to put any multimedia assets you want to import, or if the software creates particular, for example, images or videos, where those will be located. What you see here in this diagram is some sort of hierarchical structure that should explain that, so I'll just go through some of that. There is another tutorial that's talking about what a project is and what an analysis is and what a version is, so I won't go into that in any detail here. What we'll see is there's basically 4 levels to any project. One, you have this top level, which is My Projects, and that could be called anything you want, but we're just calling it My Projects for now. And that could be contained in a default folder, for example, in the user documents in Windows, and then in AVA360VR projects. But you could put this anywhere, and I'd recommend you put this onto an SSD, which you can take with you, and it's a very fast SSD, so access to large video files will be smooth. So whatever that is, that's your root folder, and that's where all your projects will be stored. It could be you want to have another root folder which have another set of projects, but let's just focus on having only one root folder. Underneath that you can have a project or other projects, and that project level is where you can, all the video, audio, image files, etc. are contained. And there's a series of subfolders. When you first create a project, it will create all these folders for you and some subfolders, and then that gives you some idea where you can store the files that are necessary for you to work and analyze using AVA360VR. So let's just go through some of these. And you'll see there's a video folder in which there are these blue subfolders, and those are where you can put your video files. They might be a 360 video file, equirectangular, in MP4 format, and that's where, if it's synced, it's the master 360 or any other 360 cameras you have on the scene that are all filming simultaneously, that's where the synced clips will be put. Then you have the synced 2D clips. That's the normal camcorder, video camera type of 2D rectangular format in MP4, and they go in this folder. Those are for synced, and then the unsynced variety, you have additional, which means extra ones which are not related to the synced versions, and then exported, which means you don't put anything there. That's where AVA, when it recams, use the recam tool, that's where it will place those recams. And you can rename those as you wish, but if you move them outside that folder somewhere else on your computer or your drive, then they will not be accessible. So all the video files must go here. When you first create your project, then you must choose a master 360, and that will be copied into this synced 360 folder automatically. Then you have audio, and you can have synced audio in the same way as you can have synced video and unsynced audio. Voice annotations are not being used at the moment, so we'll pass over that. And then we have image. This is where you could put additional images. The comic images are those that are exported from the comic generator, the comic creator. So you don't need to put anything there. That's where those comics will appear in a folder with a particular numbering and a date timestamp. Handwritten we're not using right now, but the keyframe sequencer we are, and the screenshots. So the keyframe sequencer, when you export your keyframes to disk, this is where they'll appear for that project. Same with any screenshots that you make of equirectangular screenshots of whatever you have made in whatever tools and drawings you have open. And you have slides, which is for the slide presenter, and those are slides, you can export them from PowerPoint, for example. They're images. If you export as image, for example, a JPEG or a PNG, then those go here, numbered slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, and you'll find more information in the slide presenter tutorial. You can also add a video file, as explained there, and that would be, for example, in MP4, and be given the name similar to the slides, like slide3.mp4, and then a video will appear. And notes, if you have notes, they go in this folder, and they are text. Slide 1.txt, slide 2.txt, and they will appear on your note presenter on your left controller as explained in the slide presenter tutorial. Saves. This is where when you create an analysis, you get a version number, and if you keep saving, you'll get new version numbers for that analysis. So this is where those are all saved. You can rename those as you wish, and they will open still, but then they may start with a new numbering. So it's always good if you rename them as 000, and then they will increment from there. They always have the postfix dash number, and usually starting at 000. Then you don't have to add anything here. Those are created automatically. And then the transcripts, we're using our own DOT software, which is for transcription. And if you put the DOT folder in here, which has also a subfolder, you don't need to worry about that. If you put the DOT folder here, then that will all work automatically in AVA360VR. You'll be able to load up your transcripts with all synced to the time codes to the master Sync 360 video here up at the top. If the transcript, of course, is made for a different clip and a different time code, then it won't work. It will not show correctly. So it has to be made with the Sync 360 or a Sync 2D or the synced audio. Any of those, as long as it's synced together, then you'll be able to import your transcript. Then the comics folder, that's where, when you make a comic, that's where all that information is stored. You don't need to touch anything in there. You can rename the comic folder if you want. It's given a date and time stamp and a number, but you can rename it, and then you can load it up again another time. 3D objects, that's where you can put a 3D object you want to import into the scene and manipulate. It has to be OBJ or FBX. And then you have the volumetric captures, which has a capture folder and has a lot of stuff underneath that you don't have to worry about. You can rename that once you've made a volcap, and then you can, when you import it, you just import the one you've renamed. So there are some of these folders you can rename, and you can give the file names. For example, in the videos or the audio, you can give whatever file name you prefer. They will be accessible from the import menu. So that gives you some idea of the main folders for where you put your data, the folders where AVA will store things or export things, and then one or two of the folders which we're not using right now. So you don't need to worry about those. So you should be able to go on now to the other tutorials about creating a project, how to create a project, and also what is an analysis and what is a version in a project. Why do we call them that? So leave you to continue exploring the other tutorials in this particular project